Welcome to the second session of Module 4. So today we are going to discuss the different types of errors and different types of coding techniques, and also we will see how to generate a block code. So let us consider the important aspects of error control coding. So if we consider the important aspects of error control coding, we can see that it is possible to detect and correct the errors by adding the check bits to message string. So as we have seen one example also in our previous session, how adding the check bits will help us in reducing the errors. In a similar way, it is possible for us to design a code which will be capable of identifying the errors and which will be capable of not only identifying but even correcting the errors. But it is not possible for us to detect all the errors or to correct all the errors. For example, if I design only a single error correcting code, I can identify and correct only a single error. I cannot identify the error if the error occurs in a particular received data. Also, it will reduce the effective data rate through the channel. That is quite obvious because we are increasing the total number of bits used for representing a message. And since these check bits does not carry any information, they are called as redundant data, and adding the redundancy will always reduce the data rate through the channel. Which are the methods that we will be using in controlling the errors? Generally, we will perform the error detection and correction separately. So we can either perform error detection or we can perform both error detection and correction. This will lower the error probability. That we have seen already an example in our previous session. It is going to lower the error probability. And if we are opting for automatic repeat request, then we know that the receiver has to send a request to the transmitter through a reverse channel asking for retransmission of the same data because the received data has suffered an error. So for that request, the receiver will require a reverse channel. That means that not only one channel is sufficient, we require an additional channel also for such a request. And that will reduce the average data rate also, because that will take more time because your transmitter is sending the same data again and again until the receiver receives entire data without any errors. Therefore, it will reduce the average data rate. Which are the different types of errors? There are basically two types of errors that we can consider. One is a Gaussian noise and another one is impulse noise. What are the sources of Gaussian noise? Gaussian noise sources are the thermal and short noise. The thermal and short noise might be due to the transmitting and receiving equipment, or it can be a thermal noise in the channel, or it can be due to radiation picked up by the receiving antenna. What exactly is a thermal and short noise? So we know that in transmitting and receiving equipment, we will be using number of electronic components, and as the electronic components are working, these electronic components will get heat up because the current will be flowing through those electronic equipments, and that heat will contribute for the thermal and short noise. And the occurrence of error during a particular signaling interval will not affect the subsequent signaling intervals. That is, if a particular noise or the Gaussian noise is occurring in bit duration 1, then the second bit duration, third bit duration, fourth bit duration, they will not get affected due to this Gaussian noise. So we will say that the occurrence of error during a particular interval does not affect its subsequent signaling interval. And the transmission errors due to white Gaussian noise are called as the random errors because it will occur to the random bits and not to the subsequent bits. So if we want to cope up with this Gaussian noise, then we need to design the random error correcting codes. In case of impulse noise, the sources will be lightning and the switching transients. Switching transients will occur whenever you switch on or switch off a particular device or an electronic component. And this impulse noise has a characteristic of long quiet interval and suddenly high amplitude noise. And one of the important property of impulse noise is that it will affect more than one symbol per bit. So since it is affecting more than one symbol per bit, we can say that it is a burst noise. it is occurring on a burst of data. And if we want to cope up with this impulse noise, then we need to design the burst error correcting codes. Now we know what are the different types of errors. Let us consider the different types of codes. Majorly there are two types of codes. One is a block code and other one is a convolutional code. If I consider block code, then block code representation will be somewhat like this. That is, initially we have a message bit. So we know that each message can be represented with the help of k bits, where k can be 2 if I am using only 2 bits for representing a data, or k can be 3 if I am representing a particular message with the help of 3 bits, and so on, right? So initially we are going to consider message whose length is equal to k, and then a part of your code word will have check bits also, which is basically generated by the channel encoder. So if I consider that n is the length of a block code, among those n bits, k bits are the message bits and remaining n minus k bits are nothing but the check bits. And to be more specific, these are the message bits generated by our source encoder, which your channel encoder is placing as it is, but with the help of these message bits it is going to generate n minus k number of check bits. So this part is generated by source encoder and this part is generated by the channel encoder. In case of convolutional codes, we do not have a clear bifurcation like this. Instead, if we have k number of bits, we have check bits interleaved within the message bits. So we cannot clearly say that one part is a message and other part is a check bit. So interleaving of the check bit will happen in case of convolutional codes. Let us initially concentrate on the first type of code, that is block code. So let us consider initially the linear block code. So as I said earlier, it will take k message bits from the source encoder and it is going to add some check bits by keeping those message bits as it is. So this is the block diagram representation of our channel encoder. And these are the notations that we need to remember. In message bits always length is represented as k and length of check bits is represented as r, which is actually n minus k. And code word length is represented as n. In case of systematic codes, always we have a message bits and then we have r number of check bits. So this representation is more specifically systematic block code. In case of systematic linear block code, for each 2 power k code words, we have, it can be expressed as a linear combination of k linearly independent code words. That is our systematic linear block code. Now we will see how to consider how to generate the code word with the help of matrix representation. So before I move on to the matrix representation, we will see how to generate the linear block codes. So that generation, with the help of this generation, we can go for matrix description. So encoding operation of linear block codes. Total information sequence is divided into block of k bits. That means if we have a page of information which I want to send, what your source encoder will do is initially with the help of some encoding technique, it will convert the entire message into a binary data. Okay. Once it converts entire message into a binary data, that binary data is divided into number of blocks. Suppose if it is having 1000 bits, then those 1000 bits may be divided into say some 100 blocks. So if I am dividing 1000 bits into 100 blocks, then each block will have 10 bits and those 10 bit is nothing but the value of k here. So total information sequence is divided into block of k bits and hence there are 2 power k combinations. Why we are saying 2 power k combinations? Because if I am representing one block using only 2 bits, then possible combination can be 00, 01, 10 or 11. So I have only 2 power 2 which is equal to 4 combinations. Similarly, if I am dividing the entire message into block of 3 bits, then my combination would be 000, 001, 010, 011, 100, 101, 110 and 111. That is 2 power 3. I may have any one among 2 power 3 which is equal to 8 combinations. Right? Now our channel encoder will transform each of these message blocks into n bit larger blocks, that is by adding n minus k check bits. How will it convert k bits into n bits? So let us represent the data as d1 to dk. So as I said, it can be any one out of 2 power k combinations, and for that combination we are generating a code word, and that is represented as C1 to Cn. So you can observe that length of data is dk, length of code is up to Cn because it is having n number of bits. Also, for example, if my k value is equal to 2, I will have 4 different combinations 00, 01, 10 and 11. And for all these 4 combinations, I have to generate a code. So if I generate code for all of these 4 combinations, that means that even I will have 4 combinations of codes also. Okay. Now we know how to generate a code word, n-bit code word with the help of k bits. So what we will do is, we will take C1 same as D1, C2 same as D2, C3 same as D3, similarly up to CK same as DK. Okay, CK same as DK. So we are mentioning here our CI is nothing but DI for I varying between 1 to K, right? In order to generate Ck plus 1 to Cn, okay, Ck plus 1 to Cn, we will be generating all the message bits D1 to Dk. You can see that for generation of Ck plus 1, I am using D1 to Dk. Even for generating Ck plus 2, I am using D1 to Dk.